Making sure my mic works.
Check 1, 2.
Well, I wasn't going to record this one because the last time I did this, I recorded it and you could not hear me because you need a mic. That mic doesn't work very good.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But this little Bluetooth mic
You like to move around a lot.
is uncomfortable. This will be
You always
fine.
stay in that little box.
This will be fine. Yeah. I don't need to be on camera the whole time. No, that's fine. That'll be fine. I'm not worried. Nobody watches this shit anyway.
I do.
Okay, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah, nobody works out either. Fuck those.
I'm gonna do something so you all know that I'm honest. Okay, here's these. I'm gonna write some numbers down. They might not mean anything right now. Okay, those numbers are there like a magician trick, right? Here's my numbers. I'm gonna turn this around. I'm not gonna touch it. And then we're gonna see if those numbers are the same when we do our calculations. So you all can see that this does kind of work. And the thing is, I have not done these calculations for myself, so I'll be doing it with you. So I'm going to need somebody to run my numbers because my calculator's right there recording me. Okay, so this is informal, even though it's recorded, and I have notes. These are just the notes that I'm using. You all have a copy. You can keep them. If you have a question while I'm going, just stop me. I don't, this is my plan, but I'm okay getting off track and we can talk about if a question comes up instead of, remember 15 minutes ago when you said that thing? It's easier for me to just stop and we can talk about it when we're doing it, okay? So, I'm not a doctor or a licensed nutritionist, so if you have something major, talk to your medical professional, okay? But I feel 100% qualified to tell you what I'm going to tell you. So all I'm going to tell you is to eat healthy food, right? So it's not rocket science. Good nutrition. That's what we're going to talk about. And then first I'm going to talk about good nutrition, what I think good nutrition is, what CrossFit thinks good nutrition is. And then we'll talk about the challenge specifically. So if you're not doing the challenge, I think you'll still get something out of it because it's a lifestyle thing. And the challenge is based off what I think a healthy lifestyle is. So even if you're not doing the challenge for points, what I'm going to tell you is scored, could be applied to any healthy type of lifestyle. You don't have to be doing the challenge. Okay? All right. So the CrossFit prescription for healthy nutrition, this is kind of where we start. And we can modify from this, we can change it, but this is what we start. And it's up there in bold. Eat meat and vegetables. Seeds and nuts. Nuts and seeds, close. Some fruit. Little starch. No sugar. And then keep intake levels that support activity but not body fat. So that is where we start. And I'm not going to write that second part out, but that's what we are going to calculate. So know how many calories you need to eat today is that second part. Keep intake levels, blah, 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 blah. So if somebody does not know where to start with good nutrition, I point them here. Because in my humble opinion, there's too much of this. Starch and sugar. Like you look at a soda, pure liquid sugar. You don't even digest it. You just absorb it, right? I have a sweet tooth. So I have to watch my sugar. Otherwise, I will eat too much. But you look at the rest. Eat meat and vegetables. There you have your protein. Here you have your healthy and fat and your healthy carbohydrates. Nuts and seeds, little protein, fat, and a little carbohydrates. Some fruit. So here's where I don't really think you could eat too much fruit. I think within reason you would probably get sick before you ate too much fruit. But there is considerations. Fruit does have a lot of sugar. So sugar, even though it's quote unquote natural sugar, it's hormonally that sugar kind of um, treats it different than a carbohydrate in a vegetable, a complex carbohydrate. Little starch. So here's where, yes, a potato is a vegetable. Do I want to eat a ton of potatoes? Probably not. But it's still healthy vegetable starch. It's still fine. No sugar. Nobody's perfect. I like a little sugar in my coffee. But this is ideal CrossFit prescription. That's where we start. The second part, keep intake levels that support activity but not body fat. That's what we're going to calculate next. And here is where we think health. And then when we go to that second part, that's where we think body composition. Your calorie intake versus your calorie needs every day is what dictates changes in weight. If you are eating more calories than you expend, you're going to gain weight. If you're eating less calories than you expend, you're going to lose weight. And if you eat equal to, you're going to stay the same. Short of the very rare hormonal disease or something that can happen, that's what it is. Straight up calories in, calories out. There is some things so that is your strictly body mass, and after we calculate how many calories you need, we're going to calculate the distribution to your macronutrients, protein, fat, and carbohydrates. I'm not going to get super deep into them. If you want to, I have book recommendations. They're listed here. It's at page 3. I have the book that I pulled this from. If you want to read more into it, please go do that. I'm just going to give you brief what they are and why we want to break it up that way. Okay. Questions or disagreements with this? Okay, did I hit all my points? Yep. Okay. A bean? Beans are kind of a starch. Maybe you could call them a nut because they are a legume. Kind of weird. Beans are that gray area. It's not really a vegetable, but if you eat the outside of a bean, it's a vegetable. It's kind of like corn. Corn's not a vegetable either, it's a grain. But if you're a good old North Dakota boy, you think corn is a vegetable. Kind of like that. It's kind of a starch, kind of a protein, not really much fat, so it's not really a nut. It's not really a vegetable. It's kind of more in that starchy. Good question. I haven't had that question before. Green beans, a lot of people call them vegetables because you're eating the pod. There's so much vegetable material there that they call that a vegetable. Same with like sugar snap peas. They'll call that a vegetable because they're so green, you're eating the pod. But if you're eating baked beans, that would be like a starch, basically. Anything else? Okay. Unless you're a hippie vegetarian. I can say that because I am one. I eat a meat-like substance for my meat. Doesn't that sound appealing? Meat-like substances. My meat just doesn't come from animals, so it still fits into that type of. It's not for health reasons, so I don't think.
How long have you been doing that?
Since '07.
I'm just
07,
wondering if you noticed a difference
07, '08.
in your performance by
Um,
red meat, or you just grown
I,
accustomed to it.
I've performed better and worse eating the same way for like 12 years. It's not, for me, it's not so much the meat, it's the everything else, if that makes sense. If I'm eating too much sugar, that's what I really feel. The only difference, and we'll get into this when we talk about macros, and if you have a friend who wants to be a vegetarian or is, they can contact me. The big difference is if you eat meat, your protein comes with fat. If you don't eat meat, your protein comes with carbohydrates. So I don't add really any extra carbohydrates. My carbohydrate is vegetable, like your green vegetables, spinach, zucchini, cucumber, broccoli. That is my carbohydrate because I get carbohydrates from my meat. So where I would add fat, other people would add carbohydrates. That's really the only difference. That's the best way to put it. Okay, so here's where we have fun. I like this part. So what I want you to think for this next part, it does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be overwhelming. This is not super scientific because we are just going to estimate, and that's absolutely fine. We just need to get a rough estimate. Okay? So, to find how many calories you need a day, here's your formula. Current body weight in pounds. I should have weighed myself this morning. Somebody take out their calculator. What's 83.5 times 2.2? 180, 183. This is my, you want your weight in pounds, but I weigh myself in kilograms, so that's why I needed that. So 183.7? Okay. Body weight in pounds times a number, a factor. And here's your numbers. It ranges from 11 to 17. And what you do is you just pick one based on what fits best. So, if you work a desk job, you don't work out, you basically sit, it's an 11. If you train 5 hours a week or less, and you're relatively active, it's a 12. If you train 5 to 10 hours per week, and you're a little bit more than that reasonably active, you're a 13. Most people are 12s or 13s, especially in here, probably like a 13. Yeah.
How would you categorize like if we come here 5 days a week, but we're not working that entire hour?
Count it as an hour.
Okay.
Because you really are working that entire hour. Like we warm up and then we work technique stuff. And yeah, you do a 20-minute WOD, but that whole hour you're active. Okay. So most people are going to be 12 to 13. 14 would be 10 to 15 hours per week. You're dedicated to fitness, but you're not a competitive athlete. Maybe you'll do the open or a local competition, but you're not going to regionals. Okay? 15, now we're competitive in either this sport or another sport. And it could be, I mean, you figure out the range. You got to figure out how much you're training, how much you're practicing, how much you're competing. Do that, add the numbers up, and get a rough estimate. Close enough. 16 would be elite. You're a professional athlete. You're an Olympian. You could have a super active job. Your job would be a physical type job. All of that would be considered. And on that note, you can take half numbers. So I'll use myself as an example. I'm a 13, I would say, because I do CrossFit 5 hours a week. I do yoga 2 to 3 hours a week, let's say 3. I coach like 8 hours a week, but it's not all super active. So I'm going to give myself like a 2 there. 8, 9, 10. 10 hours a week. I'm a 13. Here's what you can do though. Maybe I'm super active when I coach and it's a 6. Well, now I could go to that 10 to 15 hours a week, or I could do 13 and a half. That's fine. I could do 13 and try it and see what happens, and that's what I'm going to do. So, Alex, you're running my calculator. 183.7 times 13. 2,388. So for me, weighing this with this activity level, I need 2,388 calories a day to maintain. That is maintenance. So here, I want you all to do yours, if you haven't already. So figure out roughly what you think your multiplier is. Multiply by your body weight in pounds. I'm not going to ask you what your number is. Just write it down, because you will need it later, and it's good to know. Everybody got it? Okay. So within reason, like even if, say I jumped from a 13 to a 14, all that would be is 183 calories a day. Not a big difference. You have 2 options from here. You can take a couple weeks and eat at this level, and we're going to break down the macro split here in a sec, but you could eat at this level and see what happens. That is the only way to know for sure. That's why I said this isn't super scientific. The only way you're going to know if this number is accurate is to do it for 2 weeks, hit that number as close as you can, or maybe I hit 24 something. Maybe I hit 22 something. And if my weight goes down, it's not enough. If my weight goes up, it's too much. If I stay the same, that's what I need a day for my calories. That's the only way to know for sure. So that's what you can do. You can eat at this level for 2 weeks and see what happens. Or if you're reasonably sure that's right, we can start, depending on your goals, taking off calories or adding calories. And that would be, if you haven't done this before, I would really recommend just trying it for 2 weeks and seeing what happens. That's the only way you know for sure. If you've done this before and you kind of know, you can just jump right in.
How long do we do this like thing for? What's like the whole purpose? Miss that at the beginning.
How long do you do what for?
This challenge.
The challenge?
Yeah, what is it? It's like the whole get.
The challenge? We're going to talk about that because I haven't decided how long. So I wanted to input. Roughly 6 weeks. But if you're talking about how long do you track?
No, I understand that.
You just do
What's
it.
the overarching purpose of this?
We're going to do a lifestyle challenge starting the 15th. And for the challenge, one of the markers is following a nutrition plan. That nutrition plan could be any nutrition plan that is reasonable. I don't want you to go on a banana and protein shake diet, right? So that's why I'm covering good nutrition first. But to to include nutrition as the main part, or the one of the two main parts of that challenge, I like to cover this first. So that's the point of all this. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. So let's balance our macros. Here's where we have fun. So take your body weight in pounds divided by 2.2. I already know mine. 83.5. So that's your body weight in kilograms. We need that because we need grams of protein every day. That's where we start. How many grams of protein do you need a day? That number is basically fixed. I say basically because if somebody is severely over or underweight, we have to adjust that number from the get-go. Because if somebody is, say, 80 pounds overweight, that's going to skew that number by 40 grams of protein. So we don't want to do that. If somebody is rail thin, very underweight, that's going to skew that number low. They need more protein to gain muscle, so we have to bump that number up a little bit. But within reason, your body weight in kilograms times 2 equals how many grams of protein you need a day if you're a relatively active person. Alex, take 83.5 times 2.
167.
So that's where we start. Now you take your body weight in kilograms times 1. Oh, sorry, I skipped a step. Calories of protein. So each gram of protein has 4 calories. So you take 4 times your grams of protein, and that gives you how many calories a day you're getting from protein. So take your grams of protein times 4, and that gives you how many calories a day you get from protein. Alex?
668.
Huh?
668.
Thank you. That number will be important in a sec. Now we got to figure out fat. Fat's the easiest one to calculate. Body weight in kilograms times 1. That's your grams of fat per day. If you have a decimal, you can round up or down. You can fudge these numbers. I'll talk about that in a bit. But we're going to go with, I'm just going to go with 84 here, just to make it easy. Alex, 84 times, oh, sorry. How many calories in a gram of fat? 9. So take your grams of fat a day times 9, and that gives you how many calories a day from fat.
756.
Ooh, boy. 756.
That's a dumb question, I think, but like, how do you know what like a calorie of fat is comparatively? Because aren't these all like mixed in your foods?
Yeah.
Right?
You mean like scientifically, how did they figure this out?
Or like, are you saying like calories per fat? You want us to go like
how would you figure out how much fat the avocado had?
No, how are you? If you went to like 3B and you got a ribeye,
Right.
how do you calculate how much is protein?
Right. So what I do, Google is a great resource. So you would just estimate. Um, you look up protein in a ribeye steak, and it'll say an 8-ounce ribeye steak. Sorry, I don't know what a ribeye steak has for protein.
That's gonna be high protein, high fat.
Right.
So just like use like the MyFitnessPal app.
Yeah, I use an app. If you don't know, because not everything's going to be on there, Google it.
And sometimes whoever enters it might be, they like to enter the way they like it entered. If you go like that, there's a USDA chicken
Yeah.
site, or the beef council, or something like that, or pork council. You know, you can find those sites on the internet that'll give you how much fat is it, or what's the
Yep.
nutritional information in that pork tenderloin.
Some stuff will have it on a nutrition label if it has that. One thing that I find frustrating, Americans measure stuff by volume. Most of the world measures it by weight, grams. So you'll look up blueberries and it'll say a half cup of blueberries has this many grams of fat, protein, carbohydrates. But how do I know that I filled my cup up with those, I mean, yeah, it's close enough, but I like grams. I like weighing it. So a little food scale's handy. Thanks. See, this is all stuff that I probably should have covered it when
Yeah, we've done this so many times. We don't need to talk about it.
Well, and
It's recording.
that's part of it. Well, it's recorded now, so you can pull it up later. So yeah, a little food scale. Every food you eat will have, within reason, a little bit of each one of these. I'm going to cover why we want to break it down like this next. But every food will have a little bit of, or at least a little bit of all of these. A tablespoon of granulated sugar will only be carbohydrates. So yet not every food has all of these, but within reason, your blueberries are going to have a little bit of fat from the natural oil that the blueberry plant produces. It's going to have a little bit of protein, but it's going to be mostly carbohydrates. Your meat is going to be almost all protein and fat, but there's going to be a little bit of sugar left in that muscle tissue when it was butchered. So once you kind of start tracking and you kind of know where these things fall, it becomes second nature. And going back to the beginning, you by no means have to break it down like this if it doesn't work for you. A side note I can cover now. My mom came to me and wanted to change her body composition. Okay? I am not going to tell Grandma Jane, okay, Grandma Jane, what you need to do is you need to go out and you need to go buy a food scale. And then everything you eat, you need to weigh and measure. And then you need to track everything. And we got to figure out what you need a day. It's not going to be a good fit for her.
Take a stick of butter.
Right. So I had Grandma Jane do the Whole30, which you don't weigh anything, but it tells you what you can and can't eat. And it is basically eat.
Did she make it 30 days?
Oh, she loves it. It is her favorite thing in the world. So you eat meat and vegetables. You don't do legumes, but you do nuts and seeds. You can do as much fruit as you want. It doesn't really restrict your starch. No alcohol, no sugar. It wants you to only drink black coffee. There's other restrictions in it. But that was a good fit for her. So if you're going through this and you're like, hey man, that's not going to happen. There's other options, and I encourage you to do other things that work for you. But this is good to know so you kind of know why we want a little bit of those macronutrients, or we want a good split of those macronutrients. And overall, we want to watch our calories, because no matter what, the calories are going to be important, because that dictates weight changes. Does that answer your question? And then some? Okay. So we have grams of fat, we have calories from fat. Last, Carbohydrates. So this is the most complicated one. You take your total calories per day. You like how I made this worksheet for you? Isn't that convenient?
Thank you.
Minus your calories from protein, minus your calories from fat, equals your calories from carbohydrates. Run those numbers. This is going to be carb heavy. I'll talk about that in a sec too. Can somebody do my math for me? I'm purposely not doing my math, and those are the numbers I wrote down before because I have been eating at that for about 4 weeks, and I've dropped good weight. 961?
Here, let's do it again. Okay, you're probably right.
7. That looks about right. Looks about right.
That, 668.
668.
964.
Oh boy, those 3 calories are gonna, those 3 and then divide by 4.
Oh, I didn't divide shit.
That'll be next. That's okay. What's 964 divided by 4?
241.
Okay. Okay. So what we did there, we took our total calories that we estimated we need a day. We subtract our protein because we know how much protein we need a day by running it through how many grams we need a day. We subtracted our fat a day by estimating how much fat we need a day. That gave us with our calories of carbohydrates that are left. That's where the rest of our calories have to come from. Divided by 4 because there's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, just like protein. So that gives us how many grams of carbohydrates we need a day. It is a lot of carbs. And where should we go from here? So from here, let's go. Why do we want this? Why do we want this breakdown? What do these do? So protein. We need protein to build, maintain our muscle tissue, our other body tissues. There is some energy in it when the molecules are all broken down. Like I said, I'm not a nutritionist. If you look at, do yourself a favor and look at the metabolic pathways. Now that's some chemistry. You'd probably understand it. The human metabolism is bonkers.
That's science.
It is science, and it's very complicated chemistry, I think. So in general, why do we want this much protein? To maintain and gain muscle mass. Fat. What does fat do? Fat helps you feel full. You need fat for different neurological functions. There's some little like padding and supporting your organs, connective tissue between your joints. There's a bunch of things that you need fat for. Again, I'm not going to go all into it. Vitamins is another thing. Certain vitamins need fat for absorption. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff, but I'm probably missing it. But those are the important things. Did I miss any of the important things? So that's why we need fat. Carbohydrates is our main source of energy. Oh, fat's a big source of energy too. obviously, right? 9 calories per gram. Oh, who's gonna mop today? I will. I could do that, huh? Carbs, main source of energy. That's the big one with carbohydrates, is a big source of energy. There's also neurological things with that, though. How that energy supports the functioning of your brain and nervous system. Um, Carbohydrates, if they are excess, will be converted into fat and stored. So in the past, they always thought fat made you fat, but really it's mostly carbs that will make you fat, or excess calories in general will cause you to store fat. But that's kind of why we want our if you are active, don't be afraid of carbs. You need them to support activity. Okay, so that's why we want that breakdown. Now, if you look at these numbers and you know anything about this, this is carb heavy a little bit. That's okay. These two numbers are pretty flexible. As long as your overall calories, you know them and it's right, you can take away from one and give an equal amount of calories to the other. That is fine. Personally, I like more fat than carbohydrates. So when I flip this board around in a sec, you're going to see that my numbers are a little different. And that's okay. Generally, our protein stays the same. These two numbers can flip-flop. You're still going to want some carbohydrates. You're still going to want some fat. You're not going to want to completely shift that, totally messing everything up. But it is fine to fudge the numbers. Okay, big reveal. 167, 84, 241. 187, 209, 99. So this is a little high. This is a little low. And this is a little low. But my overall calories within 30, that's pretty good. I am losing weight though. So this must have been, this is a underestimation. So this is a little low. So my estimation here is a little low. But that's the only way to know for sure. Track it and see what happens. I started at 89 kilograms, like 195, I think. And I'm down to 83 kilograms, 84 kilograms. 5 kilograms, 10 pounds in 4 weeks. That's a little high. You don't want to do more than about 2 pounds a week, but I would say that initial 2, so I'm going to change this to 87, is probably water weight. When you eat more carbs, it stores more water, so you weigh more. So that's probably more realistic. 6 pounds in 4 weeks, that's probably about right. Questions on this part? Okay, numbers are estimate, protein set. Oh, okay, so to lose 1 pound per week, did I write those numbers down? I didn't. I have to go off memory. 3,500 calories per week equals 1 pound of fat lost. So that means if you reduce this number, if we know this number is accurate, by 500 calories a day, you will essentially lose 1 pound of body weight, 1 pound of fat a week. World's biggest caveat. I wrote that on here. Don't just think about losing. We don't want to think about calories are the enemy. We don't want to think of exercise as punishment. It's just the difference of 3,500 calories a week. So maybe it's not just about cutting 500 here. Maybe it's about adding a little activity. Maybe I bump my factor up half a point. I go on a 30-minute walk every night. I just bumped this number up. So I just bumped up how many calories I use a day. So it doesn't all have to come from restriction. We don't have to treat food as an enemy. It can come from increasing activity. And that increase does not have to be going and running an hour a night. Do a yoga class a few times a week. Low intensity is fine. You're active. Go walk your dog. I don't know. Ride a bike. Okay? So if you want to change, go slow. You don't have to do 500 calories. Go 100 calories. Figure out how many grams of fat and carbohydrates you want to take off. Make that adjustment. That's fine. Any questions there? Okay, all of that is from a book. I have the book listed. Flexible Dieting 2.0. Chrissy McCagney. I have a copy there and I have a copy at home if you want it. It's an easy read and there's a lot of good information in it. There's other places that you can find these, how to calculate and how to get those estimates. The numbers might be a little different. That's okay. This is all an estimation. If you do it and you try it, you'll kind of figure out what you like and what works. Okay. The challenge. Now we get to the why we're doing it. So we got to figure out how long. I would like to do 6 weeks. We've done 5 weeks before. I think we're just going to call it 6 weeks. It's a lifestyle challenge, so it's not all about nutrition, but that's the part most people have the most trouble with, so that's why I covered all this. The 5 markers: attendance, 1 hour a day, or you just come to a class in here. That's your attendance. 1 point for yes, I came. 1 point for no, I didn't. It maxes out at 5 points a week. So if you come 7 days a week, you only get credit for 5 because rest days are important. If you insist on coming, that's fine. And I don't think anybody would come just for the point, but I wanted to eliminate that possibility. So it maxes at 5 points a week, but 1 point a day, roughly, is for attendance. Nutrition. Every day you get a point for, yes, I followed my nutrition plan. No, I did not follow my nutrition plan. What's your nutrition plan? It's up to you. Something that works for you. Maybe you're doing this. Maybe you're doing Whole30. Maybe you're doing the name of a challenge that I wrote down, but I'm not going to say because it's a proprietary challenge and I don't want to get sued. Maybe you're working with a licensed nutritionist and he or she has something for you to do. Maybe you just want to follow the CrossFit prescription and eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Maybe that's what you're doing. If you followed it, 1 point for yes, I'll just put 7. 7 points a week. 1 point every day. Recovery. Oh, sorry, let me go back. Attendance. Bowen, I'm traveling for the weekend. I'm not going to be there. What do? You can find a gym. Go to CrossFit Dickinson. I forgot the name. Amicus. You can go there. You can drop in. Record your score. You get a point. That's fine. Bowen, there's no CrossFit gym where I went. In our sugar wad, there are home workouts. They usually just need a dumbbell and running or something like that. A pull-up bar maybe. Find a park, take a dumbbell with. If you need a dumbbell, I will give you one for the weekend. Bring it back though. And follow that workout. That's fine too. Okay, I don't want to handicap you for working out when you're traveling, and if you are traveling, I don't want that to be a reason for not working out. I don't really want you to just go run if you're traveling, but if that's all you have, I'll allow it. Okay?
If your job orders you to take a fitness test.
We can count that. Yeah, I'll count that. Okay with that.
Wait, when does this start? August 15th?
August 15th. Okay. Nutrition we covered. Recovery. Yeah.
On your own workouts, if you can't make it in, but you do the at-home workout at home, that doesn't count.
No, that one does count.
Okay.
On your own, what I meant that is, I could have came in and I just went and did something else.
Okay.
You know, stuff like that. I'd like it to be, yeah, I would prefer to not count stuff like that. If all else fails and you count your softball, that's fine. That's fine. But I would like it to be activity like a fitness activity. And I pick on the running thing because I always tell people if you want to lose muscle mass, go run for extended periods of time. So I would like it to be something that resembles what we do in here. But if you're playing a sport, whatever, I'll allow it. Yeah, that's fine. Be active. That's the point. Okay, anything else there? Sorry I jumped around a little bit. I forgot that though. Recovery, 7.5 hours of sleep a night. I know. This is the one I have trouble with. And here's what I say. Lights out to alarm, 7.5 hours. If you go to bed, you turn your light out, you lay down, that's when we're counting the start. If your dog wakes you up, if your kids are up all night sick, I'm not going to hold that against you. That's out of your control. Make a valiant effort to get 7.5 hours of recovery time a night. If you only sleep 6 hours a night because you're a grandpa, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Try to rest for 7.5 hours a night. Mobility. "20 minutes a day." Okay, I know that sounds like a lot. Stretching on your own, if you have a app, there's probably 7 of them now that have a daily mobility routine. If you go on YouTube and find Jenny McCarthy's yoga, is Jenny McCarthy still a thing? That's a good reference. Do that, that's fine. 20 minutes a day, or you can stretch on your own or roll or whatever. Have Rosie walk on your back. Any of that is fine. The goal is, I believe, everybody has 20 minutes a day that they're either just sitting doing nothing, watching TV, or 20 minutes before bed that they could fit it in where they could stretch or roll or otherwise work on mobility. Full range of motion about a joint. Okay? That was pretty straightforward. Individual. Okay, here's where I want some questions. This can be almost literally anything. Something you want to do every day. Something you want to quit. What I would like to avoid, though, is I've had this question come up before. I want to swim 3 times a week. Okay, but we can't score that every day. So no. I would prefer it to not be a nutrition thing. If you insist on it being a nutrition thing, put a number to it. I want to eat more fruit. Okay, great. What does more mean? I want to eat 100 grams of fruit a day. Great. That's what I want. A number. I want to drink more water a day. What's more mean? I want to get a minimum of, I don't even know ounces. You can look it up. A certain amount of ounces of water a day. I want to give up caffeine. Huh? Don't do it. I want to, for me, I'm going to read 20 minutes a day. I want to walk my dog every day. Does anybody have any questions about what they think would work or not work? Okay. You don't have to say these now. I would like to hear these before we start. Not because that's fine. Put a number to it. Meditate, pray, whatever, 5 to 20 minutes a day or whatever you think is a reasonable number. Do that. Mindfulness is what I would call it, but do that. That's fine. I did that one before. Breathing is a good one. Box breathing for 10 minutes or something I did. Stuff like that's good. I want to know not because I want to pick on you, but because not because I want to pick on you and say, man, that's dumb, but because I don't think anybody that knows me would think I would do that. But because I want to know what people find are important to them. Okay? How this one is scored is a little different. It's a little confusing, but that's okay. You have to do it consistently for 7 days before you get scored. So the first week, you don't even get any points for doing it. Then you start getting points. If you miss a day, you're reset back to 0. You don't score again for 7 more days. Why is that one so strict? Because that's something you picked to better yourself. I want it to be more important. I want a bigger penalty if you miss. If you go to a birthday party and have cake and it kicks you out of your nutrition, I'm okay with that. If you pick that you want to read 20 minutes a day to better yourself and you don't do it, I want a bigger penalty for it because you wanted to do that to better yourself. Does that make sense? Is that reasonable? Okay. So the other one, there's 2 more. These are weekly things. Tracking your progress. It can be with pictures, it can be with a scale, it can be measurements, it can be calipers. If you want calipers, I would not do that every week, but we could do it at the beginning and the end. And then you'd probably just do the scale in between. But track your progress somehow. 3 points a week for that. The easiest thing is take a picture, step on a scale on Friday morning, and it's done. But that I want you to see where you are and where you're going. The other one, this one's new. John's going to like this one. Dry challenge. So this is bonus, so you by no means have to do it. If you do not drink alcohol, you get 5 points. Scott will like this one too. That's easy, right? The reason I put that on there, a few reasons. So this challenge was kind of bred from what they do at CrossFit New England. I added my own flair to it though. They do theirs dry challenges. That's a mandatory thing. I don't want to make it mandatory because it's summer, but the thing that really sparked it for me was they've had several people, I always remember what it is, go on the wagon, stop drinking from these challenges. So if there's one person who thinks they're drinking a little too much, and this is what sparks them to stop drinking, that is a success in my book. For me, I got up to that 89 kilograms because one of the factors, other than 3 handfuls of M&Ms every night, was drinking seltzers, like 2 a night, 3 times a week. So do the math. That's 600 calories a week. It adds up over time. And that's empty calories, just like your soda. Pure liquid alcohol. So that's why that's on there.
Fun fact, your body can't use alcohol as an energy source. It's literally goes in your body and is immediately metabolized as fat.
Sweet. That is a fun fact. Questions on those? Okay. New to this challenge. If you have your phone, I want you to pull up SugarWOD. I want you to go to the 15th. I'm going to make a private track for this, but to show you how it works, I want you to see how we're scoring this. I did away with paper sheets. Go to the 15th, and you should see 3 things for scoring. Did it work? Okay, good. Attendance is spelled wrong? Thanks. I'll fix it.
No worries.
I already made a separate track with it in there, but I want it private to us. Oh, crap. Only Scott and Sean. Oh, and Sam. Sorry, I forgot. Only coaches will see it.
So basically, he's got a chunk for each thing. So attendance, so you go to log your results.
So everything is 1 point for yes, 0 points for no. The order is important because remember, these two are scored a little different. But every day you'll just enter your score. Every week I'll have your dry challenge and your progress for bonus points in there. Probably on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I haven't decided yet. And you'll log all that. So instead of papers, you get to go on there every day and record. I think it's going to be a lot better.
For the weekly, is that like Sunday night?
I'll probably put it on Sunday. And you can, as long as, just score it whenever, but. Okay, so I think this will help. It'll be easier. The only people that will see it are people doing the challenge. You can comment, just be nice. Friendly jabs are nice as long as you know the person. I can make fun of Scott, but I can't make fun of, I'd have to think, but there's people I wouldn't want to make fun of, and there's people that I know it's okay to make fun of. If I make fun of Scott because he had birthday cake and went over on his calories, I think that's okay. If I make fun of somebody else because they did that, it probably wouldn't be appropriate, depending on the person. So that's what I mean by friendly jabs are okay. Don't be mean, though. I don't think anybody would do that, but it's always a risk when you open stuff up to comments like that. We'll put the weekly scores up. So here's the other thing. I want to charge for this because it makes people invested, and they usually have a better success rate if we charge a little bit. The only thing, do we want to do prizes or no? And you can think about it. I would like to do like small prizes, like maybe gift cards at Natural Grocer and I don't know,
10 free drinks from the fridge.
Rogue Fitness. like maybe, or that. We could do stuff like that, you know.
That'd be a simple, easy one.
That would be a simple, easy one. We are working on that. So that's a possibility. It won't be done by the challenge, though, but I could do an IOU for the next time we do a shirt or something.
Half the pot of whatever.
Yeah, we can do that. That's a good option. Okay, so I think we'll charge. Think between, I didn't put here, think between like 15 and 25 bucks for 6 weeks. I think that's reasonable. We have private tracks. I think that's reasonable. Let's just say 20 bucks. Screw it. We'll call it. Half of that at least will go to prizes. Half of it's going right here. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Then we get to run the air conditioner?
Yeah, we'll make it 68 degrees in here. Okay. Oh, one more thing. So Carl already asked. I think we're going to do it on SugarWOD on the group, the special group track. And if you need help getting on that, so on your SugarWOD, if you pull that up again, there will be nothing there, but under the picture, it says something like track or something, workout of the day, and there's a drop-down arrow. If you hit that, you can pick different tracks. There will be a separate track for the challenge for only people who sign up. Okay. On that, Carl had this idea. I like it. He would like people to post what they do for food, recipes if you want, ingredients, meals, whatever you want to post. So I think the best way to do that would be on Sundays in the comments under the day to put stuff like that in. You can put whatever you want, but I think that's a good idea. Put whatever you want that's helping you through the challenge. It could be I stopped smoking by using toothpicks. I don't know, whatever. Cookbooks you like, anything. But I think doing it now on SugarWOD gives us the option to do stuff like that, and I think that'll be helpful for people. If you have any other suggestions about what you want, let me know. Because I've put these together about, I don't know, six times now. So I've got what I like. I like this stuff. I like the other two elements I added. I've had stuff that I thought was a good idea that I tossed out because they weren't very good. We had a coach challenge thing that didn't go over very great. We had a homework thing that was my idea that didn't go over very great. Okay, so, but if you have an idea, let me know. Maybe I'll tell you no, but Carl already had a good idea. So, anything else? Hey, thanks for our guest for staying in for this. Okay, that's all I have.
So if it starts the 15th and we want to use the calipers, is
Yeah,
the same person doing it so it's consistent?
Yes, have the same people. If you pick a day that works. It doesn't have to be that day. That week though. If you don't want me doing it, can you do it? Sam or Sydney volunteered to do it. Danny can do it also. So between the four of us, if you don't want one of us to do it, one of the others can. And try to have the same person at the beginning and the end. Anything else? Okay.
You normally do a 7-site.
Huh?
7-site. You normally do a 7-site.
Yeah, 7. Yeah. I use the one on, it's like bodybuilding.com or something.
Yeah.
It's not bodybuilding.com, but it's something like that. It walks you through all of it. Really, if one of us can't, I'll put that site on the track. Your grandma could do it. It's just you would need the calipers, but it's 7 sites. I don't remember them all. Chest, thigh, abdomen, this part, this part. And it's just pinch. You do 3 and you record it. I have a calculator I made on Excel that you enter your measurements and it does your body fat for you. So I can make that available. Or if you kick me your numbers, I can tell you what your percentage is. Anything else? Okay. If anything else comes up, email me. Ask me in person.
Thank you.
An hour and 4 minutes.